Now, why is SCRA?
I saw that comment as well. I saw that comment. Yeah, I read it.
I
Look at
tried
his name,
perfect moment.
Mulgundmat.
Welcome to the Valorant stream. The reason we're laughing is because we just saw Karthik Mulgundmat's comment, and the reason SC is not there is purely luck. SC is not there. Oh fuck! Wait, purely luck. Oh my god. There we go. It's just because the time I got my designer to make this thumbnail. That time Enigma had just beat G again, and that's why the arrow is towards Enigma about the stonks going up.
Yeah.
It's completely not at all intentional, but it works out, I guess.
Fair enough.
Anyways, hi guys, welcome to the Valo-Rants podcast. This time we're here to discuss the power ranking show, and joining me are the one and only Rex duo. So we have Rexdreams on one side and then Rexy on the other. And now here you got me. I'm even dressed up for you guys. I thought you might be missing my ties and bow ties, so I dressed up, just like the thumbnail. But that's pretty much it. I'll let you guys know how we're gonna do this. So basically, we three of us are gonna talk about the top 10 teams or so. Maybe we'll stretch it to 12 or 15 depending on how we need it, and that will be our first discussion. Once that discussion happens, we'll be picking one random person from chat. I don't know, maybe we'll have a quiz, and maybe we'll get Rexy to just close his eyes and tell me a number, and the person who says the number, some random way, okay? One of you guys will be able to join us after the discussion. So make sure you stick around, hit the like button, and get me to 2K. Subscribe. But that's pretty much it. Let's just get started. How are you guys? How have you been? COVID's a
Good.
bitch, but I
All
hope you guys are
good.
okay.
I mean,
Home
so
quarantined. That's it.
Yeah.
online university for like a year, so more or less accepted it.
Oh wow, 2K already done. Thanks, guys. But yeah, in general, I think Rexdreams was there with me last time we did the power ranking show, and we were talking about then how intense it's starting to get. I feel like
Yeah.
this now is a result of that, because
Mhm.
I genuinely back then we knew what was number one, who was number one.
Yeah,
It
true.
was a bit of an argument. I have no idea who is number one, so I'm going to throw the question back to both of you. Let's start with Rexy. Rexy, I'm not going to force you to tell me who is number one, because I think that's a difficult question. But tell me, the top two teams, and does Enigma stand a chance of getting in there?
Right now, I think Global and Mahi, not Enigma. Because, yeah, Enigma has defeated Global and Mahi, and I understand that, but they were not, they haven't proved that they're consistent. So if they beat again, I don't think so. I don't think they can beat them again, with the same scoreline, 3-0.
Yeah.
Which TM had been doing against G. I think TM has defeated G 2-1 or 3-2 every time, until the last time when G defeated them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's difficult to answer that, but I think it's still TM and Global at top. Maybe Enigma third with their recent performance, but
I
it's
agree with that.
still between them, Global and TM.
Yeah, the third spot is going to be a big discussion. So we'll get to that in a second. But Rexdreams, what about you? Do you
So I
agree,
think-
TMG?
Yeah, I agree with TMGE, right? But for me, what people really have begun understating was Mahi's last year dominance. For the 1 year that when they were the unbeaten champions, people really started people I think put too much weight into the recent results. For a year, Mahi were untouchable. You couldn't do anything against them. And G they've slogged hard. Enigma have slogged hard to be able to do so. So for me, it's 1-1 as Mahi and G. I don't think we've seen a clear champion between both of them, because Mahi beat them again recently. G showed a huge era, not an era, but a period of time of huge dominance over the scene. And G are doing a lot of new stuff meta wise. They brought out the Astra, they brought out Sova Sky, dual initiators, they brought out the Viper. So I think meta wise they're kind of ahead of everyone else, because we haven't really seen a lot of new things coming out from other teams. We haven't seen Mahi play in a lot of time recently, right? So that's different. And they were one of the first teams to bring out Viper and Icebox in India, from what I remember from Unanuj. So let's see what the future is, because the meta is shifting huge, dual initiator, dual controller, Breeze coming out. So everything's kind of let's see how it kind of goes on time for me.
I mean,
The next 3 months are fun as well again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the meta is it's in a position now which I would call like an analyst wet dream, because it's not just one composition that's on top. Like there is so many. As you said, GE they're trying new ones. I think they're trying new ones mainly because the loss to TM that you mentioned. I feel a lot of it was on the basis of the fact that GE were running it back to what already worked for them. And I've consistently said in every single one of my streams, teams can't afford to do that anymore, because last year TM did that a lot. They got punished by GE this year, where GE were able to call them out like, hey, you need to keep up with us if you're going to stay on top. And that's pretty much what GE were trying, which is why I agree with Rexy's point. Like, Enigma, very good team, no doubt, but like I felt like GE were trying a lot of new things in the second loss, and in the first one, it just didn't look like actual GE. So maybe if I see one more loss for GE against Enigma, or even if Enigma can beat TM, I think then definitely serious consideration for first or second. But for now, just brilliant team, maybe the best newcomer team, I would say, in our scene in general.
Best newcomer, yeah. Yeah, Enigma, no doubt.
Rexy, where do you think though, like the whole balance? Because as a pro player, I feel like you have a different perspective, about the meta and how people catch up to the meta. Because last year, जैसे था, it's chalta hai. You can do. It's okay to rely more on your aim. Do you think that has changed a little bit for players? Like you can't just play like CSGO days. You have to.
Okay, I understand. But I don't think so. It has changed much because people still rely on their aim, no matter
Okay.
what. People like, even though they're SOA, Sky, the main mentality should be like they should be on the back end to help their team. But it's like it's good at one point because they are confident they can kill 3. But logically, it's not correct. Even though you're winning, it's not right.
Yeah.
You're winning, so people think it's right. You're winning, it's good, all good, but that's not right.
So you'd much rather just put hands on the board, play for trades, and
Yeah, that's how you should play a game. That's
yeah,
how you should play this game, a team game. But
yeah.
right now it's like one guy getting multi-frags.
More
But
outplays rather than.
in global, which wherever I see global, it's only Rossi who like goes for that aggression and tries to get that multi-frag. All the other teammates who are playing, they play off of each other. I don't know
Yeah.
it. They have practiced that much. I don't know how and why, but it's only Rossi who goes aggressive and tries to get the first pick. Kappa doesn't do that. Kappa is the clutch
Yeah.
god of their team.
Yeah.
Lightning Fast is I don't know, the X factor of the team. They
Yeah.
got a great Cypher player, a great Sentinel player. So they do that job. They don't try hard to get that multi frag. They just get it. But normally in other teams, it's like this guy goes like, I'll flash, I'll just go.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Honestly,
weird.
yeah, I kind of agree. Like that falls into like what jet system the teams are running, right? Like in like for GE, like the standout player of all time, like has to be Rossi. Like the team kind of like plays around him and sets him up so that he's put in the best position. Like you use utility to set up Rossi. Like that's how like GE plays. But if you see other teams, like if in the middle, if you saw how NRG was playing when they had Shanks, they used to have Shanks dash with a spike so that he could plant. So
Yeah.
like this it's a completely different system as to how they play the jet, and it's basically interesting to see how teams start running like a composition around that, or how they change the play styles around what they want to do. But jet's kind of
Yeah.
getting phased out anyways right now because
Yeah.
she's lack of utility right now.
I think teams are slowly starting to get used to the idea of not even fixed roles, more like specific roles in an execute. Like, as you said, the whole dash with the plant. I've seen TM do that once. Like, literally once I've seen TM do that, but never
Towards
again.
B side, like
I
on
think
Haven B
Bind.
side.
No, I think Bind on B side they did that like Jet Race back when they were still running SOA, like way back. Maybe they've done it again. I'm just forgetting. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is more like I feel like as Rexy said, it's still more of what we saw last year, but people are starting to get punished a lot more if you just play a lot of that multi-frag. So because of that punishment, like, and this is the key reason why I think Enigma even beat GE in the first place, because I didn't see like that level of discipline that you were talking about, Rexy, that I personally always applaud GE for when I'm casting. I didn't see that in the GE Enigma finals. Like, it felt like more of a individual, like, we're better than them, we're going to try to be better than them, and they got punished hard for it because EG, this is why I really, really like them. They're very disciplined for a new team. Like the level of strategic simplicity that they show. It's not even like complicated stuff. It's more like we'll talk to each other and we'll play off of each other. I really like that about them. And that perfectly segues me into my next question. So like, EG is obviously the main like क्या बोलते हैं gunda in the discussion. It's like either going first or second or beating the top other teams. But like there's two other big teams right now in the scene, and that's Samurai and Godlike. Where do you think these teams are? Because Godlike, I feel like, has been a bit of a disappointment for me. Like I'm just being straight up. Like when DM came, the hype was so much. Like it felt like this team was the team that is going to unseat TM, and then like after that they had some roster changes. Of course that makes sense, they're trying to get them together, but since then they got SMX in, but they haven't got to play a tournament. I think they played a final today. I didn't get a chance to catch that. That's the F. But
they lost to G though, so I mean
Yeah.
it was G.
No, but like the hype was there. Like Godlike was supposed to be the next big thing. So like what do you think happened, Rexy? Like where do you think the hurdle came? Like what stopped them?
The synergy, I don't know, the mentality, how when there are 5 people in a team, the mindset, like how you should revolve around and how you should win around should be the same. Then you can perform as a team. But if one player thinks aggressive, like I should, like if I peek one guy, I kill him, and the mentality should not be like I can kill the second guy as well. It should be like my teammate can peek with me and he can kill him. But the difference of mindset like hurts a team. So maybe that was one of the issue, because whole India knows Deathmaker has the sickest aim.
Yeah.
So like no matter what, he's the one who's always top fragging in whatever server he's in. But to support that, the entire team should have the same mentality. As I'm saying, Deathmaker likes to overpeak, but he gets the extra kill he wants. But the team, if the team is not on the same page, he might not get the same backup. So I don't know. I feel they all have different mindsets going on in their team. Maybe Hevan and Deathmaker have the same mindset, but Whitehorse is a kind of a passive player. He likes to lurk. He does his role perfectly. I don't know, but I like his gameplay and his game style. But I think the whole team synergy is kind of different and off. Maybe they'll prove us wrong in the next coming tournament, because they have just they did change a team 1 month ago. So maybe they can do something better. I don't know, but that's what I feel. That's what they lack.
It's really interesting too, because I feel like Rex and I were talking a lot about the change when it happened, and we haven't got to see it actually play out. I mean, besides today. So, like, where do you think, like, going off of Rexy's point, like, where do you think, like, bringing in SMX and, replacing Scargord and Shivi, like, do you think that will help them get on the same page? Because there's the whole, I don't know if this is a factor, but one has to wonder from the outside, like, they kicked SMX out when DM came.
And
now they're bringing him back in, so like it's a big question mark for me. The entire thing. Like
to me, like the team kind of lost its original identity over a while, from the far esports roster to what it has become today. Like there's a huge change. Whitehouse is the only surviving member of the roster now. SMX is back, right? So like losing that core, like you really got to wonder if the team is still playing as, like if it's still far esports for SMX and Whitehouse, like are they still playing in roles like that, or have there been really huge shuffles when you've got a good, like a really insane fragger and Deathmaker, another star player and Flex, and another IGL that you've built around in Heaven? So it's really got to see how those pieces are put into the mix and how you can build a championship winning roster around that. So I mean, I guess recently Heaven and also they needed a break, they needed a reset. So it's all right. Like you need breaks in life because of the current situation. Like it's even more required. So you really got to give them, I think, like a little bit more of a chance. Like they don't lack in fragging department, right? Everyone knows that. Like they have the star players to frag out, but it's just that they lack in certain areas where chemistry and synergy, as Rexy mentioned earlier, would be of importance.
Yeah, I think that's why we're even a little bit disappointed, because they have the raw talent.
They
without a doubt have the raw talent. We just want to see that actually come to fruition. So hey, as Rexy said, maybe they will surprise us. I hope they will, because with the whole like Enigma thing happening, I love the way the top five has just become a big mess. But that's perfect for me because that brings me to the question of, are SE and Godlike still like? Do you still put them in the top five? Because there's newer teams out here. There's Force One. There's Soul. I'm 100% forgetting somebody. There's TrueRipper's wait, and then there is also like the way the other teams are exploding onto the same. Soul
Purpose
was a bit of a
esports.
letdown. Oh yeah, there's Purpose. Purpose
It's
recently I
really,
heard
really
beat
good
Enigma.
performance.
Yeah.
They beat
So
F1 as well. They beat F1
exactly.
2-1. And like the
So
last map was like an insane comeback as well. Like they were up like 9-3. Like F1 was up 9-3 or 10-2 and lost an OT.
They
I
took
think they
So
one
had
map
like a
from
5 round
global
win
as
streak.
well, I think.
they did?
They-
I haven't
Oh,
seen that result.
yeah, I think so.
I haven't
They
seen
took
that
one
either,
map
but
of global. Yeah.
Okay.
that's
Nice.
really cool because that's perfect. That's exactly like
Also, we're forgetting teams like Tempest and Fangs. Like those teams have
yeah,
been
yeah,
They're
like
young, yeah. They're
they're
the
young.
young guns of the community right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
They just
They were
exploded
like
as
the
well.
upstarts who
Yeah.
upset G and TM in the first place. Like they
Yeah.
sort of brought their own different place there. Tempest especially, like the Haven Sky,
Even
they
Sky
were the
was one of the
ones who
first things.
innovate. Yeah. So I really like that. So I guess what I'm asking you guys now is, for now, I'm assuming that the top five stays the same, or do you think differently? Do you think that SE and Godlike haven't proved themselves enough to be in the top five? Like, where does your opinion lie? Let's start with Rexy. What do you think?
No, I think it will still be the same. Like SC and GodL will be in the top five
Yeah.
because along with like I can agree GodL and SC haven't proved, but Tempest and like all the other teams have only proved by taking one map. So it's not enough in the like gaming scene because GodL gave a tough fight every time before the roster shuffle, even though they didn't win, but they did give a fight. So maybe if Tempest can perform again and maybe they can beat GE or Team Mahi once, then maybe you can change the top five. But right now, I think SE and GodL are in the top five for me.
RVK just mentioned the comeback. It was 12-3 to
Oh, okay.
12-14.
Wow. Okay. I'm so that's even.
Oh,
Weak RBK
that's
weak.
that
He
hurts,
just likes
man.
digging his own grave.
Yeah.
Weak RBK and RBK.
XD, man. But it's really cool. I like the point that you mentioned. And I feel like the fans, you really need to hear this. As in, when teams beat somebody, it's amazing because it reminds the losing team that, hey, we need to keep up, but it's also
Yeah.
a one time thing. Hey, it's the consistency that, and I guess that's the theme of our show here today. Our main, like, I think for all of us, the first thing we look at is consistency. Like, can this team maintain their level of play throughout XYZ period of time? Therefore, they are ranked this. And in that regard is where the biggest debate I think that we're gonna have today comes through. I expect this is where we'll have very differing opinions. But Enigma, as good as they've been, we haven't had them for long enough to know for
True.
sure that if they are like truly that level. Plus, with all of the rumors coming out about the roster changes, I won't get into that now. There'll be a separate stream for that, don't you worry. But just talking about the level of play, is Enigma better than Samurai and Godlike in the power rankings
Yeah.
right now or not?
I think
Like,
so.
what do you guys think? Yeah,
I
okay,
think
let's
so.
start on
I
with
think so.
Rexdreams.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Yeah, I think so. Right now, like they are not strong as a team. The individual performance everyone is putting on is insane.
Yeah.
Like everyone is doing the role perfectly. God Vexy, perfect. So I haven't seen so many lineups. I don't know. I haven't tried it when I was playing Sova. He knows every lineup for shock darts, for recons. I don't know. He's insane with his Sova.
Yeah.
And Batman is fragging, playing Sentinel. So I don't know. They are playing individually on like top level. They are not strong as a team, but individually they are. I don't know, better than both of this team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think like even Rafuel, like he's really not really like Rafuel is has been one of the slickest aimers. When like
Yeah.
he's young, he's cracked with his aim. Ghost his jet up is great. Like he has the potential to make the star plays. He's done so in the past for his team. So I just think they're in a really, really great spot right now as a team. But yeah, but also like the one thing that people really don't like take into account is sample space, right? Even though they've been putting out great results,
Yeah.
like what is the sample space and how many of those have we seen coming out from them consistently? Also, I have one question for Rexy, right? Since you've been a pro player, how much difference do you think there is going to be in online Valorant and LAN Valorant? Like
Lot.
how much of the difference do you think in terms of results will we see coming out from teams and consistency in like the gunfights and stuff you can take, especially in a game where we know Pika's advantage is a thing, right? How much of that changes on LAN is what I wanted to know.
It would be neutral on LAN because like the people who play on like 10 pings against a 60 ping guy,
Yeah.
so they have an advantage no matter what the other person says, no matter what. So on LAN it's neutral, and on LAN you get nerves because it's a new PC. It's
Yeah.
not you're not on your home and on your chair, like you're not comfortable playing on a LAN. So it would, like, I don't know, change everything, but I don't think so. It will be happening soon with this COVID
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a dream.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's more about like when will we get done with COVID so we can start thinking about the future after COVID rather than thinking about the future
I
after
mean,
COVID.
like the third wave or second wave or whatever's going on right now really dampened some tiers plans to bring out lands, didn't it? Like for a lot of times, Sky Esports was contemplating the thought of having a LAN, right? I heard like,
Yeah,
or
they still
people
are
have said,
supposedly.
yeah. I heard about one happening in December-ish, like that was going to happen.
Esports Premier Series
Yeah,
is what I heard,
esports wants to
and
do
Game
LAN,
On.
but that's much later. Like that's after all their qualifiers.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that that's one of the first LAN tournaments we actually get to experience. But really interested to see how LAN works out because the Iceland tournament, I'm really bad with the name of the place, so I'm not going to try and
Reykjavik.
say that. I'm not even going to try at all. I don't want to embarrass myself. But that's going to be. So I was seeing Twitter, and that's going to be the first LAN tournament with LAN servers. Like even the Korea tournaments and all, like they were just LAN tournaments with online servers. So I'm really interested to see what actually changes when you actually go on LAN to see how it is.
Yeah, it's also because it's very different play styles, right? And
Right.
the
Yeah.
one point that Rexy mentioned really important too, like the nerves that a player has when going into LAN. It's so much easier playing from home. I only played League semi-professionally, but I attended a couple of LAN events, and while there are players who get nerves, I also want to say there are players who actually like in the pressure just you see like there's a brand new player coming out. It's not like who they were online at all, and I'm excited to see which people turn out to be those, because the players who perform really well under pressure, I feel like they're going to run away with the entire scene overall, because the future is LAN. The future is like, obviously there will always be online qualifiers because we're not going to invest into LAN for everything, but the main events for most events, say like next year or maybe even next to next year, I don't fucking know how long COVID's going to take, it will be LAN. So it's a really interesting point, like how you venture into it and like how exactly you prepare for it, and I'm excited to see it happen. But on that note, I want to talk about boot camps for a second, because like back when you go to December, like boot camp was such a luxurious, like like such a outworldly factor. Like TM is the only team that has a boot camp, that's why they're so good, was like the general narrative carried by people. Now almost everybody has boot camp. EG has a boot camp, Samira has a boot camp. Let's not talk about who's in the boot camp right now, but they have a boot camp. GodL has a boot camp. G has a boot camp, and recently I think Hellranger joined the boot camp, so everybody is in the boot camp. And like boot camp is no longer a thing. I want to ask Rexy, where do you think now will be the X factor for teams? Because what, like for a lot of time they kept saying we didn't have time to practice, we didn't have time to build synergy. Now all of them have that. So now what is the next big thing that like these teams need to look for to change from top 5 to top 1 or top 2?
What's happening all these years? Roster change. That's the solution. You can't help it. After the bootcamp, you can't add anything in a team.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a therapist. Maybe that can. I don't
Support
know.
stuff like therapists, analysts, coaches.
Yeah, that can help. But at
Fitness.
the end, the great Indian shuffle.
Yeah, that's really interesting
Your mic is
point.
muted, Malav.
Oh, Rexy's had a really nice experience with boot camps in the
A
last.
lot. A lot. Since CS days, like, no. That's the ultimate solution. Practice
Uh-huh.
isn't. Team shuffle is.
We're trying. I think I've tried to decide how much of this is sarcastic and how much of this is just
No,
fuck my
it's
life
not
up.
related to me. It's like general.
No,
Like the
no,
whole
no.
every team like who's playing right now, the ultimate solution is team shuffle, and not even talking about me, not even
No, but
related.
okay, but without shuffling, because is shuffling good in the long term? No, right?
No,
Surely
no,
not.
No.
no. But
So
it is
how do we
necessary
make
at
it
one
better?
point. At one
Yeah.
point, it's necessary when you feel like your team isn't growing, as like individually people are not growing. So at one point, it's necessary.
Uh-huh.
But you have to notice that it's not growing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's true also. You can't just keep like trying the same thing, banging your head against the same wall again and again and again,
Yeah,
and
it's
trying to make
necessary at
something
one
happen.
point.
Yeah. That's a really cool point, and I hope
Yeah.
people remember that. Like, roster changes are not bad as long as they're done in the right way. Like, it's just
Yeah.
about that people have the issue with it. Okay, back to the rankings part of it though. Okay, so we've established that it's 1-1 TMGE, 3
Yeah.
Enigma, and then 4-5 SC GodL.
SC
I
GodL.
don't think there is distinction between them. Do you guys think there is a way to decide which one is better? Like, I think it's too hard because
No, I
both are
think
kind of
SC is
disappointing.
better. SC is
Okay.
better
Yeah.
because, like,
SC's
yeah, they have been performing recently and they have been performing good. Even in Sky Sports, they're performing well.
Yeah.
So I think SC would be on top of
Above,
GodL.
yeah.
That's a really interesting point because I want to ask you guys a question now. Okay, a lot of people say, and of course, this is not really a public thing, but even the chat knows this. Like, there is a different feeling to like the 4+1 format that Sky carries, and then the general open format that we see normally in tournaments. A lot of people seem to make the excuse that just because it's 4+1, we shouldn't consider it. Now, I don't agree with that, but at the same time, as a player, Rexy, like, where do you think the difference lies in playing? Like, how much does it affect a team playing with one content creator as compared to like playing with your full? And like, you know, how much मतलब breathing room, like how much छोड़ दिया जाए कि अगर गलती हो गई तो okay, we understand since you're playing with one content creator, maybe there's some comms issues, or should we just take it to the face the way we take normal tournaments? Like, how does that difference
No,
lie?
you should not like pound up on the content creator you have in your team because they don't know the exact professional scene. They don't know how to react to a situation like you do. So you
Yeah.
can't blame the content creator because he or she likes to play the game for fun. You are playing the game to win. There's a difference. But as a tournament, you should understand it. So even though you have a good content creator, you should not blame or I don't know, pound it on him or her. So it
What about
highly
the other
depends.
way around? Do you blame the team for any mistakes? Now, I'm not just talking about the CC's content mistakes, but like the team's mistakes in general, or any comms issues that we may have. Like, as in, for example, if TM is playing a match or G is
Yeah.
playing a match in Sky Esports, if TM beat G in Sky Esports 3-0, and then TM beat G in, say, some open tournament 3-0, is it the same value, or is it, do you attribute different values since there's a content creator? Like, how do you
No,
differentiate?
no, it has different value. Like the open tournament has like both teams can give their 100%. But with a content creator, it's like four versus four, and content creator is just a player who's playing with you. It doesn't know how you play, it doesn't know your style of playing. So it's I don't know. For me, it doesn't have the same value. The
Okay.
open tournament has much more value.
Rexdreams, what do you think? Like, how
Yeah,
much do you
obviously.
think that we can differ?
There's a huge difference for me. Like, if you see what the Samurai Esports roster in Sky Esports is like, they have MW1, I think, and Solo.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
Yeah.
of, I
The
think, one
best.
of the best aimers you could have asked for in the country. Like, not like Solo hasn't played professionally. Like, MW1 did play CSGO professionally, like with Rexy on a team, right? But I mean, aim-wise, Solo is no far behind the rest of the country, I think.
I can
So
attest to
True.
that.
yeah,
Got my head tapped
and
multiple times on Breeze.
He uses Guardian, man. Oh, like what?
Yeah.
In India, who uses Guardian? And
yeah.
he's like tap 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 tap.
Yeah.
It's
So
really
that's
interesting
huge
too
difference.
because then there's the whole auction thing, which you have to wonder. Like, obviously, Ghatak did a brilliant job. Like, he
Yeah,
had MWN
he
already,
did.
but
Yeah,
getting solo. Let's not talk about the whole Sid situation. But like, the Rajasthan team in general is very well rounded.
very, very, yeah,
Yeah.
And that, as Rexy was saying, it makes a difference because the content creator with the content creator, you can't necessarily give 100%, even if it is as good as MW1 or solo as compared to the 5-man squad. But you still have
Yeah.
to consider the performances of the 4 players, right? Because you still have
Yeah.
at least 80% of the squad. So I guess that does
Yeah.
factor a lot into our rankings. But okay, enough about the top 5. Let's leave them for a second and get to the more like gray part of the conversation. Like the top 5 is more like there are lines, there are obvious lines, you know. But Force One, Soul, TrueRippers. I mean, I'm gonna include Villainous,
Tempest.
Patel, Tempest, Fangs. There's so many teams. Like even
Yeah.
Villainous, I'm
Tempest.
including because they've been consistent. Like from August, they're a team
Yeah.
that has consistently made it to that top 10 or maybe top 15 area at least, always. So I think Rebellious Part 2 is also supposed to come with Buster and Tchaikovsky.
It's
Yeah, I
a
So,
think
Model
they
5.
have started
Model
playing.
5. It's a Model 5, I think it's what it's called, if I'm not
huh.
wrong.
Yeah, you are. That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they
So
beat TrueRippers once, came in a Pier 1, went to OT and lost against TrueRippers. Like, that's the two recent results I've seen from them. It's more or less a pug team, like if you look at it, right? So yeah, let's see what they do. I don't have the biggest sample space for them coming out into this discussion. Uh, like Buster, obviously.
yeah.
I mean, I think everyone misses him in the pro scene. After he left Enigma or whatever happened with him in
Oh.
Enigma or that discussion, and the rest of the players, like I think, like they were feared in the scene. Like Strokey was feared in the scene
Yeah.
for like the OG Rebellious 3 Divist meta was scary for a lot of teams, right?
True.
The people were scared to see how they could just take gunfights and win them. So they still do have an element of the playstyle of something like that, but let's just see how the rest of it pans out in the recent times when they have time to practice and stuff.
Okay, so let's go at it this way. I'll rename all the teams that I can remember at least. If I forget, feel free to add. But I want you guys to tell me one team that instantly pops out, one or maybe two, up to you guys. So there is Force One, there is TrueRippers, there is Soul, there is oh fuck, I already forgot. Villainous, there is what? Fangs, Tempest.
Thanks.
Reckoning.
Rec?
Oh
Okay,
shit!
so I'm really
Reckoning.
confused with what's happening to Rec. Right, I think they had a really good roster when they had Razor on it. I
Yeah.
think that was my favorite iteration of the roster when they had Razor on the team. But then he left. He isn't on the team anymore. They got Jojo in the middle, but Jojo's back with White Shadow. I think Jojo isn't continuing on the roster.
White Shadow is another team to mention. I think.
Yeah. So then I don't really know as to what's going on with the whole reckoning situation because Ion is great. Everyone on the team is great players, but I haven't seen them recently. Or am I
Yeah,
not?
I've
Am I not watching
also
the pro
heard
scene?
that Ion may leave. No, you're right. We haven't seen them recently at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
And Reckoning is a bit of a question mark, but we'll keep them there just because they have been really good. We'll consider them later. But from these other teams that we do know about, Rexy, for you, who pops out? Like, which team do you think that, hey, this team could push for top 5 easily? Like, after some
Force
time.
One.
First
Okay.
one.
Why? Why do you think so? Like, the players, what would you like
Yeah,
about them?
I don't know. I believe in RVK, Shivi, and Knight Rider.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have played with Knight Rider, so I know he's a good player.
Phoenix.
And I don't know. I haven't played with RVK much, but I have a good vibe from him.
Very
I
dedicated.
don't know. Yeah, I have a good vibe from him. So I don't know. I feel they can be the next thing in the scene.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
that's
Yeah.
really interesting.
I agree with that. I think one of the X factors, like the people I rated heavily in the scene, even on Team Tamilas, has to be Rafa.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of bringing out the similar fragging power that we expect to see from what role he's been put into in the roster.
Yeah.
They are trying new stuff, like they tried phases composition on bind, like that's the last we saw of
Yeah.
them. So I'm interested to see what they can do. So let's just see. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what they can pull out. Like when we like 3D crafted the roster, like the roster has the names, right? Like
Yeah.
Knight CSGO opping, anyone who's played with Knight knows how good and how appreciated he was for the role that he was in CSGO. We've seen Shivi was calling on Far Esports when they reverse sweep GE, and that's one of the performances that they will always have under their belt. And around that core and around the Far Esports, like the most underrated roster in Valorant history, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have the names. So I think they're a top 6 roster by any chance and can push for top 5.
I think it's really cool too because we were just talking about this in retrospect in the top 5 discussion, the far to godlike way. I think one of the
Yeah.
biggest things I was hyped about when DM came into Godlike was some pressure off of Knight Rider's shoulders. Like when there is some fragging power in the team, he can focus more on what he's insanely good at, which is the long range battles. Like maybe with an op or even the Vandal. Like he's not essentially the entry frag. Like when I think of Knight Rider, I don't think entry fragger. And when I compare like DM Knight Rider to Knight Rider Rafa, I feel like Rafa suits Knight Rider a lot more because the agents don't clash for one thing, and then there is also the idea that I feel like Knight Rider can be a lot more versatile. But yeah, as you said, far one of the most underrated rosters. It's the same core, but this time with RVK and Rafa, and as Rexy mentioned, RVK definitely gives off a good vibe, seems very dedicated to me, and for me that's always what I appreciate, like the passion and the commitment to really follow through with what you have decided to come through. He's come off a very big streak on Blaze off of CSGO, so I'm sure he's hunting for that the trophy, you know.
Yeah, but before, like, I think he still needs a little bit of time. Like, he's a year behind everyone else coming into the scene. I just think, like, before we start saying he's a good player or bad player, he just needs a little bit of time. Like, he's been playing his role beautifully. Like, right off the bat, he can play Cypher. He's played Sova. Potentially a lot more roles coming out for him in the future as well. So let's see where the rest of that takes him.
Rexy, where do you feel like so first one, obviously they have known quantities, you know, that we know ki, even Rafa or RVK, we've seen him decent. As Mala said, we can't decide the individualistic power of the player yet, but I feel like for the team, a very good fit. Where do you think the other teams need to sort of pick up the slack to match Force One? Because I feel like right now Force One uncontested 6. I'll leave Soul aside because I have no idea what their actual current roster is. I'll ask you about exactly. So I'll ask you about TrueRippers. Like TrueRippers is the Paradox, Relic, Crosshair roster, and I remember
Master
from August.
Sharking.
Yeah, August. I remember Paradox first Challenger series made this insane 4K play happen with the Jet on the Bladestorm on Ascent. Yeah, and everyone was talking about like after DM maybe Paradox has the best aim in India and stuff like that. It was hyped. I don't know how much weight there is to statements like that, but there was a lot of hype around it. Never came through. So where do you think it will happen?
So since Rat Syndicate days, like even when they had the roster of Batman, Para, Master, Deoxys, ZBDF, I think that was the roster originally. Yeah, they've undergone a lot of changes. Like they've lost ZBDF, they've lost Fluffy, like Deoxys. Starboy, yeah. So they lost players. They brought in Anais for the meantime. Anais isn't on the roster anymore. Then they got in Relic. They were originally supposed to get Crosshair when they got Anais, but then that didn't work out much. Then they got Relic. Now they've gotten one tap God. They got Sharkim as a 6th. So there's huge changes in the roster, and I think this is the first time where we see Paradox and Co in a non-pug environment kind of place, where they aren't just pugging it out and now they're forced to play like you're an or you're going to practice, you're going to grind it out. And in the first result that we really saw coming out from them against a big team, like if we take aside the BO1s where they lost once against these guys, Mortal 5, the stack that we mentioned earlier, and now to and the two results against them, like they went 13-5 against GodL on their first Ascent map against GodL. So that really says a lot about them as a team. But then even though you do lose the other two maps, they brought Haven to OT, but Bind they just didn't have an answer to what GodL were doing. Right? Even if you leave those results out, they have some time before we can really put them in slot. Like for me, like since we're talking about teams like this, I think QQQ are really someone who we haven't mentioned much. I think like from what I see coming out of Bones, Bullet, we've seen both of them. Bones was on Atmosphere in his early days, like a lot earlier. I think we really saw him as a player then. If people who follow the CSGO scene know Trixty and Nikolf as like good players. I don't Rexy, you've heard about them, right?
I know.
Yeah. So people know they were good players as well. They have never on Pune 5, I think that was a huge CSGO team that like was widely underrated, and in ESL, like they brought out some good results. So I'm just really excited to see what they're able to do around a core that they can really believe in and they have the synergy to. They played GE recently in a BO3. They lost like 13-7 ish on both maps, 13-7, 13-9, and honestly, that's not a bad result. I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't think that's a bad result. Yeah, and against a comp that they've never seen before, like a Viper, Sky, Sova thingy. So they went up against that, and I'm just happy to see how they've been playing, and they've really flourished as teams. So I'd put them above TrueRippers in the current space.
Okay, that's really interesting. Rexy, what do you feel about that? Like, even villainous, I would say I could drag onto this conversation. What is the like tiny difference these teams need to push to like really get into the top 5, top 6 discussion?
I think the experience how to play like a team. They are individually good players. Like everyone knows how to play their agent, but everyone doesn't know how to use their agent with the team. I think that's the difference between the top 5 and the rest of the team. Because I feel that's how they have started playing and that's how they are still playing. If they change that, maybe they can be better.
So what would you say are the most obvious like mistakes even that people tend to make when not playing with the team and playing more individualistically? Like earlier you were mentioning when you get one kill you go for the second. I could think of that being one, but other than that, like maybe even as like a former Sova main, where would you say like the support players lack or the duelists lack? Like what that in with respect to playing with the team as compared to playing for yourself?
I think the support players should know how the duelist want to get the support. Like the duelist doesn't have to ask, like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? The support should know. Like if your duelist is stuck somewhere, the support, for example, if you are Omen, so you can smoke a particular area for that guy instead of him asking, can you smoke? Can you smoke? Can you smoke? He knows that that guy is stuck. So these are very small things, but it matters when you play as a team, when you play a tournament. These are very small things, but it does matter.
Like 1 or 2 seconds of difference can
Yeah,
just
the
change
2
the round.
seconds the person is asking and you are already doing that thing which he is going to ask, that matters like in a round.
Uh-huh. It's really interesting because for me, when you say that, my mind goes to football directly. I'm a big football
Yeah.
fan. And it's the entire synergy between the attacking midfielder and the striker.
Yeah.
The midfielder should know when the striker is in position rather than the
Yes.
striker
Yeah.
calling like that. So that's a really interesting thought. And as an analyst, Rex, like, where do you think, like, are teams like looking at more? You said TrueRippers, they looked at one map and they did so well on that.
Yeah,
Like, do you
that's true.
think that could be a big part of the reason why the top 5, top 10 difference is there and the team play individual difference?
Yeah, honestly, it just depends on how much effort you are ready to put to grind. Like, there's resources available. Like, there's so many VODs you can watch. There's so many things you can do. Like, you can watch NA, EU, Korea, Brazil. Like, everyone's doing different stuff right now. So you can literally, there's so many things for you to watch, to learn from, to do. And I just think the teams have great opportunities and resources to improve as of now, like the most they've ever been. But just depends on how much effort you put in. Like, I know for sure that some teams will go to the extra distance. Like, if you remember Hellranger, when we had him on with us like a week or two ago, right? If I'm not wrong, he mentioned that like we were talking about Killjoy, right? And he said that it like there's double shocks to break it, there's satchels to break it, and he just said like no, like it depends upon how much effort you really want to go ahead and put on to learning things like those to actually like make the minor difference in your gameplay. And that's I think something that's along what Rex is saying and builds up on what I'm trying to say here as well. Both of us are on similar tangents, similar lines, sorry, wavelengths.
Using your utility to sort of
Yeah, yeah,
facilitate your team. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Like it also adds into like what we expect from like teams like Samurai and GodL, and what we are not seeing is like a lot of that. I think because of the lack of synergy, like that smoke needs to come in. If you're a tough fight team, like that smoke needs to come in, or that shock dart needs to go in advance before you even mention it. And maybe that's what they really need to work on. Maybe they will. Let's see. But for now, I really like the idea of these teams coming like really putting in a lot more effort than they did say 1 year ago. And when I say that, it like one thing is very glaring in my mind, and this has been there for a while. So I want to ask both of you about this. CSGO versus Valorant has been a big debate. Now I'm not going to get into that debate, but I'm going to ask you, like, is it okay for a player to keep like continuing the dream of becoming both a CSGO pro player and a Valorant pro player, or should someone just commit? Like, where do you
Never.
think?
No,
Like,
never, no.
Never.
It's just one or
You just have to concentrate on one thing. You can't be like, you can't get best of both worlds. You just can't.
So
It's okay to pursue CSGO, it's okay to pursue Valorant differently, but you can't do both. You would be okay in both the games. You can't be best.
do you think that might be the issue Paradox is facing right now? Because he's the most like notable player that I know who is obviously doing very well in CS:GO and still is in the conversation when it comes to Valorant. At least in the top 5 to 15 teams, like whichever team is on, even Rat Syndicate, when they were not doing well, they were still 10 to 15 area. They still made the upper bracket most of the times. Do you think that could be the issue, or is there something else altogether?
It can be an issue, but it was up to him. If he
Yeah.
wanted to be a best at someone, he has to choose. You can't like try being on both and like hoping you can be best at either one.
Yeah.
If you are not good at CS:GO, then you can't hope to be good at Valorant. You can't try both and just hope you'll be best at either one of them.
Yeah, I really want to see like what happens to his like him continuing to want to play CS:GO if he wants to after TrueRippers come in with contracts and stuff. So just want to see where that leads up to. I'm
He's
ambitious
still
with
playing
that.
CS:GO.
I
Yes.
mean, is he right?
I've
As of,
been
I don't
noticing.
know.
I've been noticing on the stories that there's some APAC. I don't know exactly what tournament, but like APAC finals going. He's playing against Thai teams, Indonesian teams, but he's playing
Oh,
CS:GO. Definitely
okay.
still playing CS:GO.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
So yeah,
always
I
been a
just
concern for me because like I agree. Like I feel like you have to commit, but I don't. There's always the exception. Maybe he can be the exception and make it work, but
yeah
it's just very
he
hard,
was
right?
on he's on 2EZ's CS:GO roster as of now with
Yeah.
Nike Zera,
Um,
SKWA,
Spawn
Spawn, and
and
one more.
Omkar
Omkar
09.
09. Yeah, this was if you see you don't know, Rofil came from 2EZ's CS:GO team.
Oh, I did
So
not know
if
that.
I'm not wrong, Para replaced Rofil. So
Yep.
that's a whole different conversation. But Rofil left, Para joined Sir Rofil. So just a little bit of context if that helps.
It is interesting because of the heights Rafuel has achieved, right? I remember seeing him on the leaderboard, number 7 ranked. I think
Yeah,
that's the
that's the
highest
maxi
Indian player
he's
has ever
reached.
got.
Yeah,
So,
Binks was 9 or something, right? Or something around singular double digits. Like
I
he
think,
was kind of
I
up
don't
there.
think Bing's got single digits. I might be mistaken because I haven't really followed it as much. But yeah, it's the same idea. Like SK
Uh-huh.
Rossi, Sami, even all of these, like, really good solo queue players that we've been seeing push did not make it. And Rafuel did to push to the 7. And that actually comes in perfectly to my next question. Before we go over to the fan segment, guys, don't worry. We will be entertaining questions from you and be getting one of you on. But, like, from a league background, the way practice sessions or the way job days is what they call it there generally work is that you have about 6 hours of scrims, like
Scrims.
morning 3 hours, which is a best of 3, then lunch break, then even after lunch 3 hours, and then you have to play a minimum of 2 hours of solo queue every day. That's your 8 hours of work per day. So Rexy, I want to ask you, like, I understand that the rank system is not ideal. I understand that there's a lot of issues with the servers and stuff with like the Mumbai server because of which a lot of pros play on the Singapore server. But I want to ask you, how important is that solo queue grind besides the scrims, like to a pro player becoming really good? How important is that?
It's like upgrading yourself a bit every day.
Yeah, it's your own practice
Yeah,
map.
it's your own practice. Like even if you play 2 matches, you face around, I don't know, 10 new situations.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all you need a day.
Hmm.
It helps. It helps. Every tiny bit helps to improve yourself. So along with the practice, individual grind is necessary. You can't become a best player, a best team in the nation by just practicing, practicing, practicing. You can't.
Honestly, it's really interesting to see why Rexy saying that because like tweets from tens and stuff said that ranked, and Hiko also say like ranked is in the
Yeah.
worst space possible right now, and like a lot of NA has just moved to playing like 10 bands. So it's just surprised as to like how there's a huge difference. Like Indians, like Rexy suggests, like playing rank is really important, while NA is just like no ranked. Let's just play 10 bands with pros. So we
Yeah.
kind of like
In India, we used to play 10 mans in CS:GO. Like
yeah
at one point, we started playing that, but right now we all pro players know that the Asian players are better than us in this game, at least like aim wise or you, how they play the agent. So I think that's why we have not started it. Like we play customs sometimes like 10 man,
yeah
but
I've
it's
seen the
usually for
people plays.
fun. We don't
Yeah.
like play it seriously or like to get good. We just play to chill, to like stream or something. We don't grind in 10 months nowadays. Maybe at one point we will start. Everybody will start like they'll ask, "Are you going to come in the 10 man?" They'll create a group on WhatsApp, Discord. But right now they are not like, I don't know, inclined towards playing 10 mans instead of ranked. Because we used to ask people, like when I had my internet issues, I used to ask them like, "Are you going to come 10 mans?" But people are interested, like they want to grind. They don't want to have fun at night because that's the only time they get to grind. Like in teams, the night time is the only time you get to grind.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I think
they don't.
like it really puts me to think that is leaderboards one of the reasons people want
Yeah.
to push ranked instead of wanting to play 10 mans. Like like I think that could be a factor as you like you want to see your name up there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like to see how it's like kind of like a flex in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like I would
definitely.
flex if I was like a top 10 player on the leaderboard. Like
It's
I'm
also
not gonna
brand
lie.
value, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like in esports, even as support staff or behind the scenes casters, anything besides the players, for everybody, your resume really is what you show on the screen. So like being on the leaderboard definitely adds. Like I was say top 10 in all of Asia Pacific, and that, like if you're ever leaving one team to join another, that will definitely weigh in, like, oh, he was top 10, we can definitely consider this player more. So I understand the idea, but I really like I didn't know that there were 10 mans in India in CSGO. I like the idea
Yeah.
because that's what like as you said, NA Valorant, but also not just NA, like EU and NA League of Legends has come to. People don't play ranked anymore. They play this thing called in-houses, where, as Rexy said, they make like a Discord group, and every day these 10 people come, they shuffle them up completely, and it just becomes about making you like individual practice, individual better. It doesn't matter which team you're in, and they just play random 5v5. So maybe India will start getting to that, but I like the point that Asian teams right now are just ahead of us, so we want to try to get to them as much as possible, try to face off against them. And on that regard, like, where do you think we really lack besides the team play? Like, I'll go back to TM and G, because these teams are showing the best of the community, I would say. Like, where do you think these teams could improve, Rexy, particularly besides the team play factor? Like, what is really missing? What is the X factor that is missing from India?
I don't think they're missing anything. I just think we don't practice that much like how they do. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we practice the same quantity 6 hours a day, but
Yeah.
we don't have that quality of practice.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So,
So
what's
because
missing from that quality? Like,
I don't
where do
know,
you think it?
like in Indian mentality, there's this thing that you have to win. I don't know why, because scrims are usually to improve. It doesn't matter you win or lose. But
Yeah.
there are, I don't know, that it is in the back of the mind. Every player has it. I don't know why they have to win. Let's just cancel what we are trying. I want to like win against them. I don't know why that thing even comes up your mind, but it's weird.
Uh huh.
If you have decided that you're going to practice this thing, like for example, if you have decided that you're going to learn how to retake A, you would not play A, but they are coming A, they'll kill you, they'll win the round. At one point they get irritated, like how can they come and they kill us? It's like that's what I'm saying, quantity and quality matters. So maybe that would be a factor. I don't know how TM and global practices, but I think this might be one of the factors. I don't know.
It's really interesting because Rex, if you remember, after the stream, Hellranger was mentioning something about this, about how
Yeah.
when
He
it's
said.
Indian scrims, it becomes like this, but Asian scrims, they can actually keep trying stuff and they don't
Yeah.
even care
He said
about
it was
the.
Yeah, they
funny.
don't care. They don't care. They don't care even in ranked. Before this, the 2 man thing, there used to be 5 man lobbies.
Yeah. They used to
So
five then exec
yeah,
A and just try whatever they could get
there
out.
used to come like I don't remember the team exactly, but there was a team who used to practice in ranked games. They didn't care about ranks. They didn't care about anything. They just used to come a rush, like proper execute. They used to enter. That's it. No matter if we play 5-way side, they'll just come. They'll practice. They'll just go away. That's how you should be. Like you should be like you should have a vision, like what you want to practice in a scrim or map or round.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a very good concept, but like,
Yeah.
I guess what do you think is like stopping them? Besides, I get the frustration factor is one thing. I would say patience, I guess,
Yeah,
because of
patience.
that.
In the
So
last the last interview we had, this was the same thing I said. Indians don't have
yeah,
patience.
yeah.
That's
That's
true.
what I said.
It's really weird though for me, because considering the fact that, like, see, when you come from a MOBA background to like FPS, you remember that different regions are good at different things. And India used to be known for, like, if India is going to make it in a game genre, it's going to be FPS. Like, that's what I always heard. Like, and after PUBG Mobile blew up, like, the hope was that like an FPS game could blow up in India. Bullshit happened and fucked it up. Like, forget that entirely. But in general, like, it genuinely felt like there were talented players in India. And like, on that note, I want to ask you, Rexdreams, because for us, I think as analysts, it's very different watching players as compared to for Rexy, for example, who the POV is as a player himself, knows the in and out frustrations. So from the purely objective point of view, like forgetting the subjective constraints that these players have, like from a purely objective point of view, what do you think is stopping like pure talented players? Like we have Raw Fuel Ghost we were talking about, or even like HellFF who's really stepped up. Lightning Fast, Rexy was talking about being the X Factor of G. All of these players, I think they have the talent to compete internationally, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the next step for them to take it to that level?
I think the fact that we consistently don't get to practice against the best. Like, let's take a look at NA's youngest players. Dicey, Asuna, Bior, a lot of players like that, like whoever are really young and really good at the game. Like, they consistently have the opportunity to go scrim against TSM, go scrim against Sentinels, go
Yeah.
scrim against the best in the world, like best in NA. Like for here, obviously there's a huge difference between us and teams internationally. Like if you give players like as you mentioned, like really good aimers in India, if you give like them opportunities to scrim against TSM and stuff, obviously one in the next 3 to 4 months we will learn a lot of stuff, and that will
Next
also
week,
like
maybe.
next
I'm
week.
kidding, go
Okay,
on.
CA is, guys, this is not a mistake. CA meant this. He wasn't trying to just make like a joke or whatever. He was actually trying to hint at something. You heard it here first. There's an international tournament coming up now, whatever, soon. He said TSM, so TSM is going to
I
play
almost
against Team
spit the
Mahi.
water.
That's
to my
CA just basically leaked this to you guys right now. Everyone heard it. It wasn't me, Rexy. You know it was CA. I wasn't saying anything. It was all CA, guys. I'm just going to say that much.
I was
F
just
in the chat.
saying it could happen tomorrow,
People
in
said
the next week, or in the next
no,
month.
no, no.
I don't know when.
CA. People ask me whenever I go to Rexy's chat or anyone else's chat. People ask me, "Can you give us leaks?" CA gave you guys leaks right now. Now don't tell me that you guys don't get leaks from this stream. Somehow or the other just happens, I think.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just
F in the
somehow.
chat. F, big F.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, but the
Yeah.
consistency is something we just don't have feasibility or factors to be able to get right now.
Yeah, I
So
definitely
it's
get that
just,
point.
yeah,
Like, to become the best, you have to face the best. Like, that's pretty
yeah,
much
fair
it.
enough. Yep, I agree with that.
So on that note, like let's ask the fans. Like we've talked about this a lot. I don't think we can decide top 5 to 10, which is 5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, we did decide 5 and 6. So 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's too hard to decide. Do you guys think it's possible? Like, do you see a clear difference between, like, say, teams like TrueRippers, Patel, Fangs, Tempest? We haven't actually got to talk about Fangs and Tempest a lot, but like, what about them?
So Fangs, results wise in officials, they came close against GE on Ascent, if I think. Like they have interesting agent role wise, and they are doing interesting stuff. But if you look at Sky Sports results, like Chennai Clutchers, like the team they are playing for, like since we spoke about this earlier, they're the worst place. They're at the bottom of the scoreboard right now.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see what happens to them. And I think they are undergoing a roster change. I am not too sure. I think Chobs is out, if I'm not wrong. He
Okay.
removed
Okay.
the Tempest tag from his name, if I'm not too wrong. So I'm not too sure as to what's going on there.
Uh-huh.
But then, given the fact like Sky Sports and like there's a lot of like these are just invite only kind of tournaments. Like you can say that to a certain extent, we don't really get to see the best of talent in India. Like, why is like just like you don't have the best opportunity to, because you need. I'm gonna be honest with you. You need contacts to get into invite only tournaments,
Yeah.
unless until if you don't have insane luck.
Contacts are
Like that's
just a
just
big sub count.
yeah, yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. You need
Just
something like just being good at the game isn't going to get you like an invite. right? Because
Yeah.
everyone cares about viewership. Everyone cares about how you're going to secure the next sponsor for the next tournament, how people are going to see, because that's the number that matters. It doesn't matter as to this guy getting this much, like he's this good at this game, why isn't he playing in this tournament, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that. It's like how much of a brand value do you actually have?
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
just what I believe. Yeah. So
And rightfully, right? Because the
yeah,
organizers
it's not wrong.
themselves are
It's not
growing.
wrong.
Yeah.
POs are in the correct spot to do the same thing. I don't blame them for doing so, but it just becomes kind of hard to get recognition in invite-only tournaments.
Mhm.
So that's just my POV as to about things like this. And
Yeah,
yeah,
fair
but then
enough.
talking about like the rest of the rankings, I think I rank Tempest at like a top 8, top 9 team. I just
Okay.
and yeah, but then one team that's gonna like come in and really screw my rankings is gonna be Purpose Esports, like soon enough. I'm pretty sure. Like, see if you remember them during that was like the junior roster during the Team I Community Cup that the both of us are
Yeah,
casting. Like
yeah.
they won that, I think, right, against Rebellious. Yeah,
Yeah. No, it wasn't
13-11 all maps.
Rebellious against, I think it was against Flamex Serenity, maybe? I'm not sure. I don't
Uh,
remember.
Don't
But they did win
remember.
that.
yeah, yeah, they did win that. So it was 13-11
Yeah.
all maps though, but they've undergone huge roster changes after that. So I'm just interesting to see what happens. Cruiser Venus is top 1, so it's like there's no question about that. Cruiser was asking me in chat, where's Venus? He said top 2 or top 3, but it's just top 1. So
I mean, yeah. Villainous, in my opinion, they're the most consistent top 5 to 10 team. And I know
yeah,
for a fact that they don't actually practice, which is what I think stops them
yeah.
from getting
Yeah,
to
Cruiser
that
said
top
they
5
don't
mark.
practice. Cruiser said they don't practice, and it's really interesting because they still managed to like get one map off or pull out like a really good result. Also, like I just said that I was talking about invite only tournaments, and Sparrow in chat just said after Sky League again we will have open for all tournaments. So that's one thing I'm looking
Ooh.
forward to. So I'm really glad the Sky Sports is also getting
That's
into doing.
good.
Yeah, that's great for the scene developing and stuff. So I'm really interesting to see. So
People who ask, भैया esports में कैसा है, please,
yeah, please, yeah. I think this kind of
please.
gives you guys an opportunity to show where everyone like just lands team wise. So yeah,
Yeah,
so it's great
yeah.
to see Sky Sports doing this as well.
I mean, yeah, I really like the fact this Sparrow mentioned that. One more league, guys, on CS3.
Too many leaks. Masala
Too
or
many
what?
leaks.
Subscribe karo. All of our Instas are in the description. Go check them all out.
Oh,
All
fuck.
three of us follow every single person. But like the stream, no, I'm kidding. You guys, if you love it, you like it. It's as simple as that. But hey, we'll come to you directly now. We've talked enough about the top 10 teams. We will keep talking, obviously, but I want to let you guys ask a couple of questions and then I will let both of you decide how we're going to pick the random viewer, but after a couple of questions. So,
Yes, it was Rexy's birthday most recently, so he decides to pick.
yes, okay, done. Alright.
So how are we
Together.
going to pick?
It's your
We
decision.
will let
Whoever
them
you
ask
want.
a
Any.
couple of questions, but
Okay.
yeah, other than that,
Any
it's
question
up to you.
related to Rexy, which org? Rexy, why did you leave? Rexy comments on Excali. Rexy comments on TM. Ban.
Okay, yeah. Excali is banned, guys. Roster changes are banned because there is going to be a stream later in this week about roster changes, so notifications.
Let's go.
But Rexy, which team he's going is banned. Trust me, if he knew, we would reveal it. If we knew, we would reveal it.
I'm getting tired of seeing
Masala.
people. I'm getting tired of seeing people ask Rexy the same questions. I was like, you know what? I might as well just tell you guys if I knew it myself.
Exactly. So yeah, all of that is banned. Other than that, if you actually want to know about, you know, like say the criteria of our rankings and stuff, we have told before. But anything about rankings or in general, if you want to ask questions, go for it. Like maybe the best question will get picked. I don't know. It's up to Lexi. But yeah, just when and how the Indian. Okay, I will ask this for the chat. Okay. Rexy, I'll ask you first, okay? Because I remember a part of our interview which I feel like is going to be a part of this answer, but like it was always the question of the toxicity in India. I want to ask you, like, where the, क्या बोलते हैं, where the like dam रहता है और पानी निकलता रहता है, it keeps hitting and hitting, eventually the dam breaks. So what is the crack कि like what is the limit to that, like maturity or toxicity? What is the expectation for a pro player from his fans? Like what do you, the basic decency, what do you expect?
You just support whoever you like. You can't hate someone just because they are on the opposite side, unless they
Yeah,
do something bad. You can't
coexisting.
hate someone. You can
Yeah,
love someone, you can love a team, you can love a player, but there's no point hating some team or player just because they're on the opposite side. You just can't. That's
yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Like why? Why would you do that?
yeah. I think like the Indian mentality or what we see in chat is like that two legends cannot coexist. Uh, so like live and let live. Like okay, your team is good, but the team I like is good as well. You guys don't need to fight over who's better in Valo or whatever.
That's completely stupid. Like to be honest, like why would you do that? Like support how much you want. It doesn't matter, but you can't degrade someone just because your favorite person is playing against him or her. Like
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
why?
yeah, absolutely. Live and let live, I think, is the perfect thing to
Yeah, and
say.
it like leads to more toxicity
Yeah,
because if one person thinks, oh my god, this guy is telling about a person who I like, then he goes and tells about
Yeah,
the person he likes. Then it just
yeah,
goes on. Like one stupid like leads to another stupidity.
yeah.
yeah. Like coming from this from like my own background, like as an analyst or a caster, like I would resist pinpointing to a certain player if I saw them making a bad play. Like that would just be me because I know what fan base the player has
Yeah,
and what it could what repercussions it could have for me. So
yeah.
like that's just like even though I wouldn't like the Indian scene to be that way, we just have to work around something like that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, and the worst example of this I can give, right? I saw Batman in chat was him knifing Anti. Like,
Oh my god.
so
Oh,
Oh.
I am pretty sure he got hate messages after that. I am pretty sure,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah,
denies
समझता
it
100%.
still.
क्या है तू अपने आप
Yeah,
को.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And even though like even though none of like even though he's not wrong for doing that, people are just gonna take it the wrong way. Like that's one of the biggest problems I believe. Even
I
BMing,
definitely agree.
like even the
Yeah.
reckoning SATL meme that we spoke about like long while
Oh
ago.
my god, yeah,
That was just
yeah,
for the negative publicity. Like I don't think it was like wrong or something, but people took it in the wrong way and
Yeah,
it
that's
yeah,
what.
flunked
Yeah.
up.
yeah.
That,
There's so many
Batman
examples.
just said in chat like ही नहीं है मेरे आंटी को नाइफ करने
yeah,
की.
that's a message you receive. तेरी औकात क्या है? अभी आया है
Yeah.
तू. Anti दादा है वो. Like what?
XD.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's just that. So a lot of people in chat are saying VCT India, right? So let's just speak about this briefly, right? So from what IGN posted on their article, they said like the riot was just doing some investigation or just trying to
I
speak with in the local ecosystem. This doesn't mean confirm that how long it takes them to like
Yeah.
get enough research that they need to see that there is a seed. There's going to be a lot of time, I believe, when such a huge move is done. Like there's going to be a lot of groundwork. They need to like from what I remember, they don't have an Indian office. Like there's only
they don't. They
they,
don't.
they
They
they're working
don't.
from Dubai, right?
No
If I'm not wrong.
team technically either. Yeah, the
Yeah,
team
yeah,
is the South Asian team. There is no
yeah,
Indian team as such.
yeah.
The team the South Asian team is mostly Indian people, so
Yeah,
that's why it's considered the
Sukamal
Indian
and
team.
others, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So it's gonna take them a while before they actually set up in India. So
yeah.
there is I would say at least a year. I don't know how right or wrong I will be, but I'll be very happy to be proven wrong, and if it's earlier than that. But I'm just excited to see what Riot can do in the next year.
I
Yes,
want to pick a
yes.
question.
Sure,
Like
go
Go
for it.
for
Siddharth
it.
Roy. Why
Okay.
Indian lack in strategies and aim? They only focus to be in top of India, but not the region. Why I saw TM moving towards the NA region strategies.
Huh?
I didn't understand the question, but I feel
Same.
like I understood what he tried to say.
Okay.
He like he's saying Indians lack strategies and aim, but TM tried to like do something different uh, related to the NA region. If you meant that,
Okay.
then I can like tell you, Indians don't lack strategies or aim. They just lack like patience and I don't know
So I
vision,
guess
like what they
he's
want to do.
I guess he's trying to say that TM tried that, but it didn't work, so they came back to the standard Indian thing. And in that case, like maybe what should
Yeah.
India do to, look towards the other regions in general? I would
There are
say
So
so
like,
many questions in that fucking question.
it's one of the more
yeah,
interesting questions for me is what do you think that will happen when T1 players of CSGO will shift to Valorant? Like at the rate of CA and whoever will tell me Hiko and Scream was also T1 players, but they were a long time ago. So okay, so talking about this, Scream and Hiko and Yampy and players like that, they were kind of like forced to move to Valo, in my opinion.
even
Like
Yeah,
Ethan.
Scream,
true that.
yeah. Okay, so Ethan's. I'll get to Ethan after this, right? Yampy was banned by Valve. He couldn't play majors. Like as much as he
Oh,
was excited to play. Okay, so Yampy was associated with like a whack banned account, like a cheating account, and they said because of that he cannot play. So that was kind of like, even though he was considered one of the best oppers in the world, like he was really underrated. He was really good in Finland. He was like a really good player, but he just wasn't like, no team is going to pick up a player who cannot play in a major. Like there's no reason for them to do
Yeah,
that. They just don't have a reason to pick up a player who cannot compete at the biggest stage. And for Yampy, what sucks is like he shifted. He's playing for Liquid and Valorant, and like a week or two ago, Valve said if you have a Wackband account that is 5 years before the tournament date, you can play. So Yampy can now play majors. So for him, it just sucks that he shifted to a whole new game. And now, like, even though what he would have considered to be his first love, like I'm sure everyone who plays Valo or shifted recently still misses CS to a certain extent. And Yampy no longer being able to play that is just sad for him as a player. For Scream, even though we know him as the best aimer, he just wasn't in the best circumstances in teams. Like I don't think he
yeah,
ever was able to flourish really well in a team. Like his around like IGLs or whatever happened, I just don't think like
never
people
got.
really started. Yeah, he never got the
he was
T1 fame.
unlucky.
Yeah, he was just unlucky.
Unlucky.
Yeah, Hiko had his time on Cloud9 in Valo, but honestly, yeah,
Wait, in
He had his
Valo?
time in Liquid in CSGO. He
CS, yeah,
has he had his time in Liquid when Simple was in the team. Then
yeah.
it
Then
just went
after,
off.
so okay, so then since the second part of the question, right, which is what do you think happens? Like we saw what happened when Ethan swapped, like just right off the bat. Like when Ethan swapped, it's been hardly been a week or two since he was with the team, or
Yeah,
like roughly around a month, and they're doing really well. Talking about other CS players who just shifted, Floppy joined Cloud9's Valorant roster, and Cloud9 Blue are insane right now. They're in a hot form. Like they
yeah.
beat NRG 2-0. They beat, who else did they beat? They're unbeaten in the upper bracket right now. They're playing
I
finals against
saw.
Sentinels tonight. They're up against
Yeah,
finals and the Sentinels tonight. So I'm interested to see how that pans out for them. So yeah, players who were in tier 2 of CS:GO and weren't able to get a break were kind of just forced to swap. But if we
yeah.
see players like Simple and Co switching up, like given how much easier it is to aim in CS:GO compared to Valo, they just have to kind of work on knowing when to use what ability and what to do in certain situations, and they can be up there in my opinion.
But then, like that becomes the biggest, I think, question or bubble rather. Even that now everybody who's in Valo has had a year. Like
Yeah,
till
yeah.
this year ended, I would have given the benefit of the doubt to any tier one CS:GO player coming in to just come and dominate. But that extra year of experience, practice, especially abroad, for all of those players makes such a big difference, in
Yeah,
my opinion. And I
true.
think it just comes down to those friendships and synergies. Because Ethan, I watched Steel's stream, and he was talking about how Ethan just, in terms of comms, it's much easier for them to execute new things and adapt to the meta. And that was one of the biggest reasons they wanted to bring him. Not that like their old roster was bad; they were trying to make sure that they can become the
Yeah.
best. So
For them,
that's a really
yeah.
interesting, like I
Yeah,
think,
but for them, it was just
note.
like giving up the opportunity to get a star player like Ethan, who was like who is considered like a top 20 CS:GO player in India, was in the world. Sorry, not in India. Top CS:GO player in the world was just too big to give up. And even Ethan, right? They had issues with him when he was playing Omen. They weren't doing too well. When they shifted him to what you can say is a much easier character onto Sage, he's kind of like getting into the role. So, and
Yeah.
he also has time to like, once he gets off the stage, to learn new agents. As new agents will come up,
Oh,
he
he's so
will
much
be.
better on Omen.
Yeah, I
Invites
mean,
they released.
I
Like,
like. I mean, I just
no,
think
I
that like
mean, I'm saying Nitro and
Nitro
Ethan
is
better on
much
Nitro
Sage.
is,
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
OG one they started with, I
Yeah,
did not
right.
like at all. But this is so much better. Like, it's ridiculous how aggressive Ethan can be on that pick.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
So it allows him. So he's just building into the role now, and plus, when new agents come in, he's going to be at the same level as you, because the new agent is completely new. So he kind of
That's
can
true.
so he kind of can just like learn up the new agent, play that for his team if that's going to develop into the meta. So I don't know. Like after Astra, whatever agent, because some teams has already implemented Astra, so he might not be the best player to put onto Astra. Like have him on Sage for a while, and when the next agent comes out, whatever. See if you know, you can tell us already. Uh, he could learn that in and play around that. So that would be interesting to see how he does that.
Okay, one very basic question before we get to another serious question. Valo-Rants or CSGO Knives, guys?
CSGO.
Rex, what do you think?
In terms
Valo-Rants?
of
Karambit.
yeah,
Karambit. Anytime.
okay, so are we talking in terms of mechanics or like in terms of skins?
Both. I just a random question,
Mechanics
not
wise,
non-serious question.
I hate the Valo knives. Like it's just too hard to knife your opponent.
Yeah. In that case, anytime CSGO.
And
I have like missed 6 knife stabs. I don't know how.
have you
Yeah.
seen everyone?
6.
I'm pretty sure everyone sees Sai's clip, or whose clip was that? Was when he was right behind the player and he missed the knife.
Yes, yeah. Right.
In the
Sai's clip.
tournament, right?
Not in the
No,
tournament.
no,
It was
no,
in,
no.
it was pub.
In a stream.
Oh,
In the
okay,
stream. Yeah,
I'm
it was
not
on the
sure.
stream that I saw that. So Valo knives are bad. Skins wise, Valo knives, I think.
Yeah, normal skins, I think Valo, but
Valo's doing
knife,
great jobs with.
CSGO.
Yeah.
Karambit, M9, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. So on to a serious question more. Guys, by the way, please don't spam. We will get to it. We're here to talk only. The purpose of this show is Valo-Rants. Like, we will talk. We have nothing else to do but talk. So, we will get to it. Don't worry. Please just don't spam. One sec. So, I saw this question. Where did it go?
Did you read Ankit Basu's question? That's a nice question, in my opinion. We use on G single
Huh.
duelist composition.
I actually wanted to change that question up a little
Sure.
bit. I wanted to ask you guys the way GE is experimenting right now. I like that, but at the same time, I want to ask Rexy, like, how do you decide, like, how much do you push and change, and how much do you stay close to what is comfort? Like, what is the sort of not even exact. I can't think of the right word, but what is the limit?
Like
you
the
know?
limit?
Ki like,
Yeah,
हाँ,
limit,
exactly. Like, how do you decide कि like हो गया बहुत experimentation, let's go back to our comfortable, or do you always have to experiment? Like, how does that work
You
for a pro
always
team?
have to experiment. You can't go back to what you're doing unless you have experimented a lot. Like, unless you have experimented like 7 or 8 different compositions, play styles, you can't go back to what you are doing. So, like, what Global is doing, it's kind of different and I don't know, good. Because,
Yeah.
like, they changed this because TM had a new composition only for what Global was playing.
Yeah.
TM started with Sage and I don't remember. TM
For which
started with
map?
Sage and Killjoy. TM started with Sage and Killjoy just to counter Breach and Jet, which
Oh,
Yeah.
Global was playing.
For
So,
bind, right?
Challenger Series
yeah, for
5
bind.
bind. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they had like these switch ups are important because in this game, switch up is all you have because there are different compositions, different agents, and I don't know. You have to like be adaptive and you have to have different playstyles for the teams you are playing against. You can't have same playstyle, same composition for same teams.
True.
Sorry, different teams.
Yeah.
You can have a like similar composition between TM and maybe I don't know God not GodL and GodL and SC. You can have
Yeah.
same composition for GodL and SC because they have the same playstyle, but you can't have the same composition for TM.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to like have different playstyle, different compositions, and you have to keep on trying unless you get that perfect composition.
True.
I love that point. It's something I say in every single analysis stream. It's ridiculously important, in my opinion. It should be priority one, in my opinion, for every pro team out there to have those different comps. Like, you cannot play the same way, even if you forget top 5, against a team like Tempest as you play against GE. It's just not
Yeah,
going to work, and
obviously.
you're
Yeah.
going to get surprised, right? So I love that point. And I think, Rex, we were talking about during ESPL days, if you remember, like how teams were struggling because of like the way Tempest play, which is just like W, but W
Yeah.
together. Like they, as in they take the peaks together and they have the aim to battle it out. And I feel like you don't even need the aim to counter teams like that. You just need a slightly
Yeah.
different composition. Like if you play a more
Yeah,
passive way.
Yeah, I
for
think.
for a team who likes to run and gun, you just need Sage and Killjoy. What
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
TM did, like you have to change depending on the opposition you're playing. That's
Yeah.
all you like. You need to think a bit. That's it. Not even a lot, a bit. Like what is the playstyle? That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like on that note, I think maybe this could be the time that'll happen. Perfect. Thank you, Krish. Thoughts on Viper meta?
Okay, so
I'm gonna ask you,
uh,
Rex. Go for it.
so talking about Viper, like from a lot of teams have started implementing her. I think my favorite composition around Viper has been the Immortals one. They're on Viper, Killjoy, and Astra.
Yeah, yeah,
Too much utility to burn out as
yeah,
attackers or defenders. It's just
yeah.
too much, I think. It's a great agent comp. I really like it. I think that's going to be the like not like the meta. I think teams that are not really playing Viper right now are missing out to a certain
Yes.
extent. Like you're missing out on
Yeah.
what she can bring out to the team. Playing post plants is so much easier. Defaulting is so much easier when you have a secondary controller on your team, and there's just too many. Like I think it just has too many good things to bring to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like even from what I've been seeing on Viper from CA's stream, from Twitter and stuff, Viper is great on that map, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
on
Like
Breeze. Yeah,
from what I've seen, yeah, because it's a huge map, and that Viper wall, like given how big it is, it can cover a lot of area for you. You
yeah,
can run in like a secondary control, like your Omen. It's a huge map. Omen players are gonna love teeping around, jumping around, doing whatever they want. So yeah, I just think, and even on a map with the mid and a second mid kind of area, like the second mid area which takes you to you can either drop down to shoot and go down towards
yeah,
the
yeah,
mid area, or you can go right. There's a door that opens out on both sides that take you to the A side. So on a map like that, where a map control becomes S tier with Viper, I think it's much easier. So I'm kind of in for like a dual controller. Sorry, with Viper, I think she's a great player. She was great like before this patch as well, but the issue with her was respecting Viper utility like people just didn't do that because there's hardly
yeah.
any DK. You get it back, you're gone. But now with instant 50 DK, you're gonna have to think about twice before pushing that Viper wall for doing anything that you want, especially in pistol rounds. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
happened.
God. Yeah,
Yeah,
I 100% agree. Like, for me, especially, like having watched and casted both Indian lobby and a
yeah,
European lobby, I saw like, holy shit, wait. When I saw the European lobby, even though they weren't tryharding, I saw, wait, this Viper is so good because
yeah,
Icebox itself, Viper is good, right? But in
yeah,
Icebox,
yeah,
Viper is only good in certain positions, I would say. Like, you can't really use her all over the map. On Breeze, you can use Viper on A, you can use Viper on B, you can use Viper in mid, you can play Lurk Viper, you can play aggressive control Viper, you can
yeah,
play whatever the fuck you want. And then, of course, there's the idea that the entry points to the sites themselves, they are sort of like bind, I would say, in the way they're very narrow. So the
yeah.
Viper's pit on defense to just shut down one site, it's insanely good. And I hope teams pick it up. But I want to ask you, Rexy, on the basis of that, like, what do you think is the like Indian average player biggest struggle? Like Indian average esports player, of course. I'll put that asterisk. But what is the biggest struggle to picking up a new controller? Like a new duelist, people will instantly pick it up. But a new controller or even a new sentinel, I feel like they struggle a bit. What do you think is the issue?
Like you have to adapt. When you pick a like when Killjoy came in the meta, people didn't start playing Killjoy at the start, but
Yeah.
like later they started because they need time. Well, like to play a duelist, the basic instinct is you have to take a aim duel using your utility. But
Yeah.
with a sentinel, it's your utility that you have to stay alive because of your utility. You can't die. Like you can't take the
Yeah.
first aim battle. So people have to like bring that mentality, like understand how to play with that agent. Then they can implement it. That's where
Yeah.
like people tend to like instantly switch to different duelist, but not different sentinel or controller because
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult because like Astra is here. People like haven't started grinding Astra, but like Blackhawk like plays good.
Yeah, he played.
No,
Yeah.
no doubt he plays Astra like insane for
Yeah.
now. But when people will start, maybe he'll get a competition. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, if Hell Ranger starts, Hell Ranger
He
will
did.
like irritate anyone who's playing in the opposite side. If
Yeah.
Hell Ranger starts Astra, he's going to irritate the opposition.
Oh, he already
So
did.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he
but
has not
it wasn't.
started grinding that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once
Like
he does, it's yeah.
yeah, when
It's-
he once he does like the proper grind for Astra, then I think he might be the best Astra. I don't know.
That's fair enough.
Hevan plays Astra too, apparently. I haven't got to see him.
Heaven
We saw him back, like in
Elite
like when he
Ups
was
during Elite Ups
banned.
tournament. Yeah, in the Elite
Yeah,
Ups
yeah.
tournament, he picked up Astra for split.
Wasn't very good in my
Uh,
opinion.
okay, that's yeah, they came 13-11 in the tournament, like the
Yeah,
last map against
he
TM.
played it
So
very well.
yeah, he played very well. So yeah, I think she is. I think Astra and Viper are two agents that the teams are really missing out on. Like not together, but just separately. I think those
Yeah.
are two. Like the props to like Enigma and also like TM for picking up Viper on Icebox like a lot about like a lot before anyone actually even thought about her. And they reaped the benefits of it. They did well.
Yeah.
That everyone knows that. There's no lie there.
Yeah,
True.
definitely. Like, it really does come down to teams, as Rexy said, always just experiment. But while experimenting, I think trying to find the balance between roles, because as you said, Rex, like the continuous changes, even TM has been going through that recently. Like Amit Rasu switching to like a permanent, more duelist role that we are seeing,
Yeah.
and things like that. I feel like it affects the communication, and because of the communication, it goes to the original point. That 1-2 second of difference just spoils the entire round. So hopefully teams will be able to sort of find a middle ground as to doing the experimentation, but still maintaining their flow or their identity of the way to play the game. But for
I think
now,
I think
go
Blink
for it.
had
Go
a
for it.
really interesting question. He said thoughts on teams like BBG and FaZe beating T1 teams coming from Overwatch and Fortnite backgrounds. Really interesting question for me. Because honestly, in Valo, like when it was like when it combined shooting from the FPS
Yeah.
genre and your abilities and stuff like that, it really was one of the interesting things. Like it gives you two aspects of playing the game. Like that's why if you see CA's analysis and my analysis, there's going to be a difference. Like CA has a lot more league background, so he's
Yeah.
more used to abilities and stuff, while I've played R6 and CS, so FPS, and I'm kind of more towards the rotations. I know gunfights. I understand that a little bit more. Like there's going to be a little bit of a difference as to how both of us understand the game there. So it really gives you two ways to play the game, and that's why we see if you look at individual players who came from Overwatch and like other games, right? If you look at Poach, I think Viper, he was one of the first players to touch Viper, and I think he really
Yeah.
did well. Overwatch, Sinatra. No one's gonna like. Even though his current whatever's happening to him currently is a huge investigation completely, and that's something I cannot get into because I just don't know enough about it. But his race movement was good. He was
Yeah.
one of NA's best Sova players, if you don't say the best, and like there's no denying that. And he really and okay, he didn't make the Odin Sova spam famous. Darfan or Dafran or what's his name, he
Yeah.
came from Overwatch, he made it famous. Sinatra got it from there, but everyone just calls it the Sinatra spot, the Sinatra
Yeah.
spam or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those players are doing really well, and my thoughts are just that like given how many possibilities there are in games like this, and there are like n number of interactions, your background doesn't really come in. Sure, you still have your ex CSGO players who are still dominating the scene and are still the best shooters or like the best gunfight players, but yeah, abilities wise, you could definitely see other players doing well.
So there's a question for Rexy. I'm gonna give him that question, and then I'm also gonna ask you to. You can ask them to give a random number or any way to just pick someone to come on, talk to us for like 5-10 minutes. The question though is your thoughts on Breeze, like the new map. What do you
I
think?
don't
Have you
know
got a chance
much.
to
I
see?
haven't played there. Yeah, I saw the map, but I didn't understand it much. But I just understood that it's a huge map.
Yeah.
The only the mid part is equal to the whole Ascent map.
Yeah,
It's so big. I didn't understand like how can you play. Like I was thinking about it. Like you have to have Astra, Viper,
Yeah.
Killjoy. I don't know. It's so weird. Like you have to think a lot to play that map.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's not
think
like bind or something.
yeah, there's this guy called Ryan Central, like hit scan. I
It
think
can.
that's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he made a video of just him walking through Breeze and his opinion. And the one interesting thing he said that he really liked the map. He said it's a beautiful map, but he was just too scared about how the map would play out. Like he just didn't know what there is. So like CA and I had this conversation, like the both of us, right? Both of us, like if you think about it, like utility wise, I think on a large map like this, a dual initiator or dual controller comp strikes me right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like I think those are the two comps that like will really like do really really well on this map. But till we don't see, like till I don't get to play the map, till everyone doesn't get access to play the map, we will
Yeah.
never know what it really plays
Yeah.
out like. Yeah.
It seemed like
Definitely.
Ascent. Like when Ascent came, people didn't like it when it used to come in the ranked
Yeah.
games at the start.
Yeah.
But
And
later,
yeah.
it was good. So
And,
maybe I don't know.
and if we talk about meta wise on Ascent, right? Like there was a point where we were playing Omen and Brimstone on the map. Like
Yeah.
At the start, yeah.
earliest meta was Omen and Brimstone, and now it's gone to just Omen. Like so, there's a huge shift there. Like there was like originally, if I remember right, I remember seeing a screenshot of 100 Thieves playing TSM. Like and that's around the time when the Sub Rosa spot became really really famous on Ascent, right? Uh, so that time, I think 100 Thieves were running Sage, Cypher, Omen, Brim, and Sova. Like from a time of coming to from a zero duelist agent comp, like I'll still try and find the screenshot if I can, to seeing a compulsory, like not compulsory, but in the Indian meta, a Jet, a Phoenix, an Omen, Sova, Killjoy comp, like there's a huge difference. And I just think that the
Yeah.
map, it's gonna age like a fine wine, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
that's what I can say about it. I think
I
C is obviously gonna have a better view about that since he's played it himself. So. I
No,
don't know
I
what you
agree. I
think.
100% agree. The only like difference from having played it, I would say, is that for me, it's much easier to identify which areas of the map are going to be the most important and therefore dictate what compositions you want. Like talking about what you mentioned, like the dual controller, if you want to control mid, is insanely good. Viper
Yeah.
especially being able to control mid, because what you don't really see when you're watching the video that you can only get from playing is that despite the size of the map, it's actually a lot like Split in the way that there are too many corners. There's an
Yeah.
insane
Yeah.
number of how would I say this, peak points that players can adopt, and shutting them down with like a dual controller setup can be really good. But at the same time, the entry to the site itself has two major power points. Like on A, it's shop and tunnel. On B, there's window and another tunnel area. So A, it's shop and cave. B is window and tunnel. And like they're very narrow corridors. So if you have
Yeah.
a Sky as defense or attack, you just push, take control and sit there, because the Altobs
Yeah.
are also there and you can just leave mid, play around that. So I guess it depends on the identity of the team. And as you said, it'll take time for teams
Yeah.
to play against each other, figure out and just sort of find the balance of the map. But it's been one of us. I think we have covered a lot and we've
Yep.
given the chat a fair chance to talk about it. So I'm going to let Rexy go for it. Pick a random person of the chat and I'll get them on to our Discord. You can even tell them, you can ask them like a GK question if you want, or tell them
No,
to
I'm
like
bad at
put
GK.
the number.
Bad.
Maybe spam, like tell them to pick a random number and put it, and you can think of a number and whoever says. I don't know. Any random way to pick, or you can just see and pick.
Man, this one is
Anything is
good. What do you think about India's chances against NA and EU in Valorant? Pretty
Alright.
low. Pretty low. Because in NA and EU, they are far superior in every aspect of the game. How to peak, when to peak, and like the basic mechanics of how to play around.
Uh-huh.
They're far ahead. Because in India, we peak to get information, not to kill. Like unless you are a over peaker. But in
Yeah.
NA, they peak to kill.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
peak for information. We have that bad habit of jiggle peaking, AD, which we call. But in like NAU, they know even they jiggle peak, but they they I don't know, they have that proper mentality when to peak, when to do that. We just like peak for information. We don't peak to kill
Yeah.
or something. So I think no, the chances are very less.
Yeah.
Indians can't.
I agree. India, like the ENA meta actually got a lot of hate from this. Like you just guys just go like buggy, you just take the gunfight
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Yeah.
in some cases, it can really, really be rewarding because if you let's say you have Killjoy ult and you manage to kill the Killjoy, there goes
Yeah.
their plans of executing on the side. Like you
Yeah.
kill a Viper early round, you kill any agent that has like a big ult that can influence the round. It can really like the round can totally shift in your meta, and these small differences that you can make by doing certain things can really like win you the game in the end. Like Shot Up got a lot of hate for playing Reyna and just being the
Oh man.
aggressive guy who
Even
just goes
Sean
in.
from like
Yeah,
Genji.
Genji Sean. Yeah, even when he was on Moon Raccoons before that day, like
Yeah.
everyone just got hate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just different play styles, I guess. I will ask chat though now. How many of you actually want to come on? We'll have you on for 5-10 minutes and then we'll get it. I just realized that
Everyone's
most people won't be able to
watching.
come on.
Yeah, most people are watching Amitra's stream. Like
Oh,
the six of
masala.
them are explaining their side of the story.
Wait, what?
Story night. Story night. It's
Yeah,
story night. Yesterday was masala night. Today is story night.
there is Anna is there, Anuj, and everyone is there as well. If you didn't see.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, right. There. Okay. Fair enough. I guess we don't even have to do it then. If you
Ace,
guys don't want
yeah.
to.
Ace,
Uh,
Vibor, Helef, Anti, Anna, UFO.
मैं आऊंगा तो रेक्स भरेगा.
And who was that?
शुभम. ऐसी शुभम.
I don't want to talk to him.
Seriously though, how many of you want to come? In which case we'll pick. If you guys don't want to come, that's chill too. We'll just talk about one final
just
thing that
answer
I
the
want to ask you
questions,
guys. Yeah, and we will. What about chances of retake on Breeze? Guys, we'll get to Breeze in detail as Rexy and Rexdreams said once we get to play it. Like, I feel like there's no point because I feel like I only have one perspective. Even I got to play like maximum 4 or 5 games where people are, and I hate this. Like, actually, let me ask you guys about this. So, this entire attitude that is there in the Indian scene about friendly toxicness is what I would call it, you know. Rexy knows exactly what I'm talking about. I see the smile coming on. Ki like they're toxic, but they're like, hey bro, we're just kidding. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you do that. I don't understand that. Like obviously between
I've done
friends.
that. I've done this.
No, so Rex, I'm sure you've done that between friends, right?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Bones. Yeah, I keep on hating until Bones no one likes.
Why would you do
so
that with
he knows
randoms?
it's a-
Would you do
Not
that
with
with
randoms.
randoms?
No,
Like
no. I only do it with
you should not like demotivate or do something to randoms unless they have
Exactly.
they haven't irritated you or like
Yeah.
I don't know. If they have done something to you, then you can maybe. But if they haven't said anything, then you should not like pinpoint or like irritate them by your thoughts or something. You should not do that. Like we had this thing, me and Blackhawk. We used to criticize in official matches. Like we used to criticize each other. क्या कर रहा है? तेरे को आता भी है क्या? Like, but it was chill because I know him. He knows me.
Personally.
But we can't do that to the opposite. Like, oh, why are you coming through the smoke like a fucking stupid ass? Like, you can't do that. So,
So
I don't know. It's weird.
yeah,
It's okay to have fun with the opponents. It's okay. Like, you say, what a fluke. It's okay. If he takes it positively, then it's okay. If he gets offended, then you have to say him that you are sorry and you are kidding. But you can't be like, are you like, I don't know. You can't abuse or do something to anyone whom you don't know.
Yeah, fair enough, I'll
Definitely.
agree with it. Yeah.
I agree too. Like I was just saying this because I've done 2 early access events now, and both I've been in an EU lobby and an NA lobby. And an Indian lobby, not NA. The time difference is too much, but the EU lobby people are like they make fun of each other, no doubt, and they have fun with each other. All of that. There's a lot more knifing in EU lobby than there is in Indian lobby. But the key difference is in Indian lobby when someone fucks up like kya kar raha hai bro, and then when the other guy he tries to explain it, I'm just trying something. Like I was just kidding. Don't worry about. Arey, like so if you were just kidding, fine. I can't like.
It's just emotion getting the better. That's it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's very true.
Like later, maybe they realize that they were wrong, so that's why they say they're kidding. But at that moment, the emotions got better of them. So
yeah, I guess that's the whole patience factor that we were talking about earlier, and it's interesting for me because it's not like as in general. Okay, I'm not gonna get into this actually, but I was gonna say it's not like in general we Indians have to struggle with patience, but that's a very big Pandora's box.
post banega.
No, so we're not gonna get into that. Please do mention to Riot if you can. Mumbai server is useless for Delhi people because of ping. Guys, Riot can't do anything about that. If you want something done about that, go to your internet providers and tell them to fix their routing. That is not Riot's fault.
It's like 40-50 ping is.
And I'll say, please do mention to Riot. There are many stupid people in Mumbai server. Can Riot help me?
They'll send you to Delhi servers then.
It's so funny. Like I have searched in Mumbai servers thrice. by mistake.
Uh-huh.
And first time people knew it was me. Second and third time, people are abusing. Like I don't know why they're abusing each other. They're abusing the opposite team. They're abusing people who are not there in the server. I don't know what's wrong with them. So like
Maybe
later, like
the
when they know like someone is there like in the lobby who is like known or something, then they keep quiet. Bhaiya, bhaiya. Then the bhaiya starts. I'm like, why? What? Why would you?
it's just, yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's very stupid. And yeah, guys, honestly, like, please stop trying to blame Riot for everything. Like, don't get me wrong, Riot has a lot of things to change and do and stuff. For example, coaching slots, a big thing coming
They're
next
coming out,
patch.
yeah.
Yeah,
Next batch,
so
yeah.
they're doing their best. Like, it's not a small indie company anymore. That was a running joke when they had just League of Legends in their. It's not that they're full teams and they're doing a good job. I would say, like, considering like how much criticism we have to give to Valorant and the fact that it's a new game. I feel the more criticism you have to give, the more you want to see that game grow. And in that sense, the game is growing. So just
Yeah.
give them a break basically, and give us
They
a
are
break
doing
at the
a
same time.
lot. They are
They did
doing a
a lot,
lot compared
honestly.
to Steam or whatever Gaben. They're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steam, like they haven't done anything for the players since I've started playing. I don't know before that, but since I've started playing, the only thing they came up with that uh, cheat. The I don't know what do you call that? You used to watch a cheater play
Overwatch.
Overwatch. Yeah, that's the only good thing they did.
So in
That's the
CSGO, right?
only yeah
Oh.
in
Okay,
CS:GO that was the
so
only good thing they
uh,
ever did for the players.
so in
But
CSGO,
Valorant is still doing a lot of things.
yeah. So see, in CS:GO, there used to be this feature where if a player gets reported multiple times, uh, if you are Overwatch eligible, like if you are above a certain rank and have certain wins, you can download a demo, watch how the guy is playing, and report them. It's kind of like a judge jury system. Like there's one of the things in CS, but in Valo, comparatively, like if there is bugs and stuff, I'm really happy to see how fast they get fixed. Like they're fine with
Yeah.
disabling maps, agents. Like I remember Omen
Yeah.
has been disabled, but like so many times, like okay, we know there's this bug, we just disable him. Let's not run him. And then like compare that to CS, there's like the whole coaching scandal in CS:GO where your coach could see
Oh,
everything, and it took them. I mean, it was just.
I,
I'm just happy with how Riot is handling things on like bug wise, honestly.
+1. I was
yeah.
disappointed in Steam and in CS:GO.
Yeah,
Valorant, I'm disappointing because of the random teammates, but it's not because of the game.
yeah, definitely not.
So
Yeah, it's. I guess you can't really blame the devs for the random people
yeah,
that are
you
causing the
can't blame
chaos.
anyone but your luck.
Not. Yep.
Fair enough. But yeah, it is what it is, guys. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, we'll take a few more questions and then we'll peace out. I think a lot of you guys want the masala, and honestly, I want to know what
I
all
wanted
the
to, yeah, as
hype
well.
is all about too. So, oh, actually, I want to ask you guys. This is perfect because Sambhav is asking something like this. But I wanna ask you mostly because I have a very strong opinion about this, and I'm not sure if my opinion is in line with the community in general. But Apex Mobile coming next month, PUBG Mobile supposedly coming back very very soon. I
Since the last
expect it
year.
will come back. Yes, that's why I said supposedly. Even if it doesn't, like there's always
Yeah,
like the Free
even
Fire community. There's Apex
yeah,
Mobile. I think will be as big as PUBG Mobile, if not bigger. And because I personally really like the game of
so
Apex, but
yeah.
what do you guys
So
think? How will this affect Valorant? Like, what will happen? What do you think?
so Apex as like player base wise, if you compare to the what Garena like Free Fire have done, they invested a lot in the local esports scene.
Yep.
Like I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to do as a game developer. Like you need to get down to the grassroots level and make the game accessible. Second biggest criticism that I have of the Apex Summit mobile phones is that there is like a requirement like that your phone needs to have this certain GPU and stuff.
Ooh.
So it's like 625, 825, something in that one of those. I'm not the best with the number there, but I really want to see how it impacts like accessibility and player base, because like not everyone may or may not have the best phone to be able to run a thing like have
Yeah.
that certain GPU which can run the game. So it's really interesting to see how it happens. Plus, there's so many interactions in the game. Like the maps are so much more complex than PUBG maps. That's what I believe. Like I got onto Apex recently, and like guns wise and stuff,
Yeah.
it was kind of like challenging to me, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So let's just see what happens. Honestly, I think they can make it work if they put in some, like if they do something for the scene. Honestly, I don't see a reason why they can't.
Rexy, what do you think? Like, do you think Valo and like mobile scene in general can coexist? Because a lot of my DMs disagree, and
They can, but obviously it depends on the audience.
Yeah,
They'll watch what they can play.
Mhm.
yeah,
Many of the viewers that Valorant has, they don't have PC. They just
yeah, they just
like to
watch.
watch, they just enjoy. But if they have a thought that they can play on mobile, like any game which is competitive, so they'll start watching that game, not Valorant, because
Yeah,
they have the access to play that game.
yeah.
So they'll have fun watching the game as well as playing. Here they only watch the game.
yeah. I think it becomes just interesting how our influencers actually react to Apex. Like
Yes.
how your biggest influencers actually
Yes, that.
give how
Yep.
much they actually like give bow to the game as, as you could say, how much they actually play the game on stream. Like that could really impact the play base, in my opinion.
So a couple of guys were asking about Wild Rift. I'll just quickly tell guys, MOBA audience and FPS audience very different. The only reason I
Yeah.
mentioned Apex is because you can sort of mix the FPS and Battle Royale audience because it's both shooters. So there is some middle ground, but I don't think there's any middle ground between MOBA and FPS audience. And this I can attest to, being from a League of Legends background and never having played or watched CSGO. So it's just different audience. I don't think Wild Rift will affect anything about Valorant, especially since it's the same company. But I agree with Rexy, and especially on the point that the idea that you watch what you play, that
Yeah,
will be a big
definitely.
factor. And then, of course, the influencers, as you said, Rexdreams, that's going to be interesting to see how they react to it because I've seen a lot of these big influencers who are, PUBG M personalities who got through that area and then really push and say PC esports is a big part of esports too. PC gaming is necessary for the future, etc., etc. When it comes down to it, if they just abandon it, I will be very disappointed, and I will believe that they are like wherever the crowd goes, they go kind of people, which is sad. But it is what it is. So
Yeah,
for now,
adding to what Rexy said about like not being able to play, like even with cafes being shut, like due to the COVID situation, and
oh
like
yeah,
that's also one reason why people can't play Valo. Like you could play
Mhm.
it from a cafe and stuff, but like now you technically can't because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
shut. Or if you have contacts and you can get into your cafe, like I'm sure there's certain things going around like that.
It's Strokey place.
Strokey, Strokey owns his cafe, I think. Strokey and Co.
Exactly.
They own,
So
yeah, yeah.
contact Strokey, get to
Yeah,
see.
contact Strokey, yeah. I'll message him after this.
No. Yeah, I watched you Valor with my PCs. That yeah, guys. So I like the cafe point too because when I
Yeah,
used to play COD back in the day, it was in cafes. Like my
yeah,
PC or whatever could never handle it. So
yeah.
yeah, hopefully, let's see. Maybe they will coexist. Maybe they won't. Either ways,
So
esports will grow. That's what I wanted to say. My DMs are full of like, oh my god, mobile is back. Mobile is going to kill esports. Blah blah blah. Guys, esports is electronic sports. Whatever we play electronically
yeah,
will grow. In fact,
exactly.
Olympics started introducing virtual sports. After virtual sports, the next step is
Yeah,
esports. So it's
yeah,
happening. It's just a matter of time. Just
yeah.
chillax, and it will happen. Talking about chillax, I am getting some flashbacks from earlier video today. So on that note, we will just end it off. If there's anything you guys would like to say, I'd like to say thank you to both of you for coming. It was a pleasure, really,
Yep.
exploring the rankings of our region and the other questions that our chat had. And it was, I really like the fact that the people enjoyed it. Maybe benefited a little from all the drama going on, but hey, I'll take what I get. But in general, thank you. Anything you guys want to say to our audience,
Just
go for it.
yeah, just thank you for everyone for hanging around. Thank you to CA for the invite. And that's all from me.
Yeah, thank you, Say, for the invite. And now you can go watch Anuj Amatullas's stream. Go,
Even I
go.
just have
I think we might
We'll
be
meet there.
doing
We'll
that
meet
too.
there.
Yeah. See you guys in that stream. It's story night
dude,
time.
it has 13K
Bye-bye.
viewers. That's 13K CC.
13K.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna end
Oh,
this stream,
fuck.
guys. I
Oh,
need to
fuck.
see what is going on. Take
Now
care.
people are
Stay
like,
safe.
oh, fuck.
Stay inside. Bye bye.